Hi, YouTube friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Brianna here. I am a registered nurse doing my thing away from the bedside and pursuing the field of healthcare informatics. On this channel, we talk about nursing, healthcare informatics, other life scenarios, and today I am very privileged to be talking with Juliette, who is the YouTube host of the Health IT Playground as well as the owner of the RHIA Essential Test Prep course. So Julia and we met through kind of like creating content that overlapped different concepts in the health information and technology space. And Julia, I don't think that I told you, but what initially drew me to your content was your personal story. There was a video that you posted about how your parents of non-American descent, they're very encouraging of you to go into the traditional medical route or the medical space. And along your journey, figuring it out, you happened upon health information technology or the RHIA or just kind of where you wanted to be in the world of health IT. So that was really inspiring to me. I do have Caribbean parents, and so my journey has been a little bit of the same. Um, so the RHIA, this RHIA certification that you create a lot of content about, I want to learn a little bit more about it and how it actually relates to me as a nurse and my viewers as a nurse. I do have viewers that are not necessarily, nurses, because a lot of what we talk about still correlates to people in the healthcare space in general. However, the questions that I want to ask today are coming from the mindset of a nurse who has a master's of health informatics. However, wondering, is the RHIA certification something that I could use as a nurse, even without a master's in health informatics or a master's in nursing health informatics? First off, what is RHIA? What does it stand for?
Yes. So the I call it the RHIA, but it's really the RHIA, and it stands for Registered Health Information Administrator. So the certification is administered, is sponsored, is provided or given from AHIMA, and AHIMA is one of the health IT organizations out there. There's HIMSS and then there's AHIMA. So this is a AHIMA certification. And so the purpose of this certification is to really train, or to rather show employers that this person that has this RHIA certification fully understands how to manage patient data. So the coursework that is completed in order to get the certification is going to teach you all of the different aspects of this data that you're securing. So there's the legal aspect of the examination, there's governance of the data, you learn about databases and just all of the different fragments of health IT pretty much is covered within the certification. So in the mindset of a nurse getting the certification would actually prove to the employer that they understand not just the clinical aspect of what they do, but also the governance side of maintaining patient records.
Okay. All right. So when I did like a quick Google search, right? One of the things that I was trying to differentiate was the difference between health information management, because I saw that, the RHIA is really about like health information management. So I said, okay, well, there's health information management and then there's health information technology or health informatics. And so the difference between the health information management and the difference between health informatics, there is a slight difference.
Yes.
Could you explain that slight difference?
Yes, so anyone that is classified or does the certification for the RHIT, which is, I call it like the baby version of it. It's kind of like the entry level. So for nurses, there's LVN and then there's RN. So the RHIT is equivalent to a LVN certification. So people who have the RHIT or the RHIT certification, they are more so doing the day-to-day technical aspects of coding of the actual health data. So maybe they're coding, maybe they're kind of more hands-on when it comes to managing the actual data versus someone that is studying and trying to get the RHIA certification. That's more so like a management type of certification. So there are some people that have the RHIA that will be doing coding and day-to-day management of data, but the person with the RHIA is also learning or has proven to have more so leadership skills to maybe supervise a team of RHIT professionals that
Okay.
are doing stuff. So that's why for the RHIT, the educational qualifications is a associate's degree that is earned from a CAPM organization versus a RHIA, you have to have either a bachelor's or a master's degree in order to take that RHIA certification, because it's more of a management role that you would be trying to obtain or qualify for. Now, there are some people that are managers that don't have that certification. So it's not a, strong requirement, but
Right,
the
yeah.
exam questions will be a little different between the two examinations.
Okay. Do you find that you see nurses often with an RHIT or an RHIA? Do you see nurses often with either or? Does it vary? Like, what have you seen?
For the nurses that I've seen with that certification, it really varies based on their journey within health IT. So maybe they started off as someone that was strictly a health IT professional and they got their RHIT, and then they were working at the hospital, saw a nurse, got inspired, and then went back to school. So in some cases, you'll see someone who does have a RHIT or a RHIT certification. And then there's other people that go to school and they are nurses and they work for quite a bit, and then they get tired of nursing, right? Or they discover the health IT industry and they want to be a part of it. And one of their ways of doing that is going back to school and, getting a master's degree in something at that point, and then they decide to get their RHIA. So it kind of depends on the person's journey, but I have seen both.
Okay, so you did say this, I'm gonna repeat it, but you said that to get your RHIA, you have to have a master's or a bachelor's.
Correct.
Okay. How long is certification? Is it like, because a master's is typically 2 years.
Yes.
How long is the certification something you kind of do on your own time and then you go to a HEMA and sit for the board?
Yeah, so it's something that you have to first fulfill all of the requirements. So once you are in your last semester at that institution and you're about to graduate, then they can, if you want to take it early, there is a letter that they can provide to AHIMA and to Pearson that would allow you to then take the examination while you're still a senior. So there are some people
Okay.
who take it when they're a senior. But for most people, they tend to kind of wait until they finished, they graduated, they need more time to study, and then they go ahead and pursue the certification afterwards. So it's not a requirement in order to graduate, but there are some schools that will push their students to try to take it before they leave, because as you know, the information will be fresh in your head if you're still in the program versus, months or years afterwards.
Okay. So the requirements then, because you said you have to fulfill certain requirements, and then,
Yes.
you know, the program you're a part of can write out the letter to say that you fulfill those requirements. Those requirements are certain hours of education, or is it also like hands-on, clinical, hands-on information management experience as well?
Yeah, so there is no hands-on experience as long as you're at that institution and you are getting that degree from that institution. That's really what that requirement is. So
Okay.
that's the main requirement is, are you graduating from a CAHIIM accredited school, a school that has curriculum that has been proven to be fitting the requirements of that organization. And there's a website for those that are wondering which schools do you go to. There is an actual, if you go to and I can send it to you, but there's like a CAHIIM website where you can actually, based on state or associates, bachelor's, whatever, you can actually see and locate all of the schools that qualify to
Okay.
be qualified to have their students rather take this certification. And it's sad to hear from people that want to take the certification, but they got their degree from a school that is not accredited. So therefore
Oh,
they don't qualify. It's happened a couple of times and it's sad.
oh,
I'm like, I'm so
ouch.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to take it, make sure that you verify the school that you're, going to be attending first. Because yeah, it does matter.
Okay, yeah. If you could send me that link, that'd be great. I'd love to put that in the description of the video. Okay, one thing I heard, which is good news, is that there's not any sort of clinical, because the fact that, you know, as a registered nurse, you have to do your bachelor's, you know, you're doing clinicals and then your master's. I know for my master's in health sciences with a concentration in informatics, there was like a capstone project that I had to do.
Yeah.
So I do like that the certification really is just making sure that you've gone to a school that is accredited within your state. So, you know, still hard work, but
Yes.
not too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the thing too is even the AHIMA doesn't have this like super strict list of requirements, but the exam itself is going to weed out people that are not qualified. Because if you get through the program but you don't remember anything, then you're not going to pass the exam. So
Yeah.
the exam kind of does what it should do. Like, do you actually know what you should have learned while you were in your program? If you did, then you should do well on this exam. If not, you're going to have to go back and figure it out.
Okay, got it. All right. So uh, I'm a nurse. I'm just out of a bachelor's degree. I'm interested in RHIA/RHIA. I take the test, I get my certification. What kind of jobs am I now marketable for? Like, what does this look like? Are these jobs, like you said, I'm a nurse, so I'm still clinical. Um, how am I now supporting the healthcare system? So I'm imagining things like a nurse who's really into clinical documentation and looking at the coding as it relates to ICD-10 codes, CPT codes, and insurance and reimbursement. That's kind of the road I'm looking at for RHIA. Is that right? Or are there variations in other things?
There are so many variations with what
Okay.
you can do. Health IT it's as you know, there's so many different buckets of what you can do. There's legal routes, there's so many things you can do. So I can't really say, oh, this is the only thing that a nurse can do, because there's a lot of things you can do.
Yes.
You can work at a SaaS company where they have technology that is maybe created for nurses, and you now understand health IT and understand databases, and maybe and from your coursework learn how to make databases and learn how to do all that kind of stuff. So you have that technical piece, but then you have the clinical experience, and maybe you're leading a team of people. So there's different layers, or maybe you're at the hospital, and maybe now that you've gotten your certification and you have your, RN or whatever other certifications that you have, maybe you are managing a team of nurses. Like you're now the manager of, and I'm just making stuff up here, a manager of, I don't know, HIM director or something, or nurse
Yeah.
informaticist. There's so many things you can do.
Mm.
So it's kind of hard to bucket it into one role, but and I'm plugging AHIMA here once again, and HIMSS. They both have career guidance. So they have career maps. HIMSS has a career packet that has a lot of the different options out there, and you'll see a lot of nursing related stuff available on there as well. On my channel, I don't think I highlighted that many nursing stuff per se. I think there's maybe one or two on there, but I know for a fact AHIMA and HIMSS, if you look it up, you'll definitely see the different areas where a nurse can fit. A nurse can fit in anywhere. You have clinical experience, you know how things run, and then you have the technical piece to it. You can really help with a lot of decision making.
Okay, awesome. Are you familiar with like the startup world at all, and people with an RHIA certificate who are contributing to, like, I don't know, healthcare technology startups? I mean, you mentioned a SaaS company, databases, I think about innovation. So I'm thinking about like, folks who have taken that route towards innovating and being in the health tech space.
Well, I've definitely worked in a number of startups, so I definitely understand the startup world. Um,
Okay.
as far as the certifications, the thing with startups is, since it is a startup and I don't want to say it's more laid back, but it just tends to be, they just love different wealths of knowledge and experience. So like having an RHIA is not like this requirement, this hard coded requirement in those environments. The
Mm.
areas where you would see where they would say, hey, you have to have an RHIA tends to be in those hospital roles. Outside of that, having an RHIA really is just another beautiful, credential to add on to all of your experience. So
Okay.
it's not for everybody, I would
I
say.
understand. Okay. Yeah. Because, after I stumbled on your channel and learned about the existence of RHIA, not that I have not seen the credentials before on some job descriptions, but, it was a foreign set of acronyms.
Yes.
After I came across your channel, I started to see more nurse roles that included, oh, you can have these type of certifications, a plethora, and RHIA was one of them. So I'm really, like, happy to have found your channel. I think it's very niche, and it's not something that I've seen often talked about or mentioned in the nursing world. And I think it's still, really a good piece of information for us to know about, especially those of us who are interested in the healthcare information technology space, because it sounds like, it doesn't necessarily have to look exactly like a master's in nursing informatics or a master's in healthcare informatics, or even like a master's in business administration. It can look like an RHIA certification as well. Um, just depending on the kind of experience that we want to get and where we want to go on our journey. Um, so that's pretty awesome. One of the original questions I had was, well, where does the RHIA certification fall along the spectrum of health information certifications and health information technology certifications? But it's kind of a bowl, right?
Yeah,
Would you describe it as a bowl?
it is a bowl. So I would say that, and it's also based on the organization that's hosting it, right? Because
Okay.
HIMSS has their own set of certifications, and they have a equivalent certification to the RHIA. So, and they're both respected, right? So it also depends on if you're going to take the HEMA certifications or if you choose to take both. I've seen people who have the RHIA and maybe the it's called the CAHIMS, I believe, certification that
Imps, yeah.
has. So it really comes down to what do you need? What are you trying to do with your career? And that should be what credentials are for. They're supposed to help prove that you have the knowledge of whatever you were tested on, and whatever cert that you're getting should hopefully push you into the direction of what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do quality, if you're trying to do legal stuff, there may be another certification that AHIMA has that may be a stronger and better fit for you. So I always say the RHIA is great if it fits your career path.
Okay.
So for those that are like, make sure, kind of sit back and say, hey, what am I actually trying to do? Like where is my imagination taking me, and what certifications make sense to get me to that point? And it may or may not be the RHIA, it may be something else. And that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so from the perspective of somebody who says, I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I like. Is there like some general statement or assumptions you would say from your point of view, POV, that says, if you like to ABCD,
Mhm.
then the RHIA may be something that you can look into.
Um, it's kind of hard to do that because
Yeah,
there's so many ways you can.
so
So
many.
yeah, so what I would recommend is if someone is on the fence on whether or not the RHIA makes sense and they're still trying to figure out even like what to do within health IT, but they like want to be a part of the industry, I would say to first find people on LinkedIn. I always say this, go on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
find someone that's doing something that you're curious about,
Yeah.
message someone. Maybe they'll respond, maybe they won't. Somebody will. If you send out 5, at least one person will respond and just say, hey, I see that you're a blank, 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 and that really piques my interest. Would you mind if we have a 15-minute conversation to talk about it? Somebody will talk to you, and then you'll be able to, from there, kind of gauge, okay, can I actually do this? And then once you talk to someone and you're like, okay, I like the conversation, it sounds great, but I'm still a little on the fence, that's where you can maybe shadow, you can maybe, I don't know, visit. There's some videos of people on TikToks and stuff that are doing day in the life of whatever they're doing, and just kind of, I want to say, kind of researching and figuring out if that's really what you want to do. And I did that. So sometimes, so my whole journey was trying different stuff, right? I did this, I didn't like it. I tried this, I didn't like it, until I found what I actually liked. So once you do that, you'll figure out your stumping grounds, you'll see the requirements of what makes you eligible to do said thing, and then
Yeah.
just kind of run from there.
Yeah, I love that. Especially the piece you said about LinkedIn, because I was just talking to another YouTube collaborator. We were talking about LinkedIn and how, especially the nurses that are still really in the hospital system or in direct patient care, LinkedIn is not a world that they are paying attention to or familiar with. Typically LinkedIn is where people with a bunch of certifications or maybe, nurses who are running business are actually on. But then, for the nurses who are looking to transition from the direct patient care world or the clinical world, you know, are trying to figure out where to go, like you said, LinkedIn is where these people are. And so LinkedIn is really where you want to be. And that is where conversations are started and where the networking is taking place. Of course, in the real world as well, but also on the social media platform that is for the corporate world.
Right.
So I love that. Last thing is if you could just tell us a little bit more about your course and what you offer as far as educating and preparing for RHIA or RHIA certification.
Yeah, so I do have a RHIA certification program, and my audience is a lot of people, folks that have taken or completed a health IT, either master's, bachelor's degree in the past, and they either failed the exam in the past, or maybe they just have been out of school for so long and forgot everything, or maybe they're still in school, but they're freaking out. But regardless of what the case may be, I do have an online on-demand subscription course where students are able to get the ins and outs of what they need to understand in order to pass their RHIA certification. So it's 24 hour access once you pay. It's a monthly subscription, and yeah, students join the program. They do it for as long as they need to. They take their exam, and fingers crossed, because it's like my exam in my heart. I'm like, okay, I'm taking it with them, but fingers crossed they pass, and then they get to add those letters to their names, and they grow and yeah, take care of their family. So it's a really fun job.
Yeah, I've seen the successes that some of your students have had in passing the exam. So I can tell that you're really good at what you do. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on today and educate me and my viewers as well. Thank you for all that you do. And that's all we got for today, guys. I will see you on the next episode. Okay,
Everyone.
bye.